Hey everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it is time for episode 4 of the Halloween 15 for 2020. And this episode has sort of an aquatic theme to it. We've got reviews of Underwater from 2020 and Creature from the Black Lagoon from 1954. First up, I'll do a review of Underwater. And this is a film that managed to make it into theaters at the beginning of this year before everything shut down for the pandemic. So you may be surprised that this is actually from a theatrical release in 2020. But Underwater is a story about a drilling platform that is at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest part of the ocean in the entire world. It's located in the Pacific Ocean. And there's a company called Tian Industries, and they're down there with these massive drilling rigs, drilling for an unnamed resource. They don't ever say what it is. They just say they're drilling for resources. And we meet up at the beginning of the film with a mechanic named Nora, who is played by Kristen Stewart. And she seems to be having a bad day, but her day gets a hell of a lot worse when an earthquake shakes the entire drilling platform, and explosions start to happen, and she starts running for her life literally through the corridors of this base. And she meets up with some other survivors, including, I'm going to get these names wrong, Rodrigo, Paul, Emily, Smith, and Captain Lucian throughout her travels through the base. And basically what they discover is that the only way that they're going to survive this heavily damaged drilling platform is to walk across the bottom of the ocean 6 miles underneath the surface in these heavily pressurized suits to get to the next base. There's only one problem. Separating them between those two bases is not only water pressure that is 800 tons per square inch, or 8 tons per square inch, I'm sorry, of water pressure. Like there's a difference, it's going to kill you. But there's also these strange, toothy, sort of alien-looking creatures that somehow came into being, probably because, we're drilling into the earth, that separate them between, or stand between them and the other base that they need to get to. This is a movie that would have been right at home in 1989 with the plethora of underwater-themed horror films that were released that year, like The Abyss and Leviathan and Deep Star 6, and there's a few others that I don't remember the names of. But this is a pretty derivative film, but it's actually not that bad, considering that the director, William Eubank, knows what he's doing with an A-list budget, making a B movie. It's got jump scares aplenty. It's got tension from the very beginning. I mean, it literally starts off with a bang and goes from there. The cast is pretty decent. Kristen Stewart, who plays Nora, she is widely panned for not being able to act, but she's actually pretty decent here, and you can kind of feel that she's got a good rapport with everybody on the base. So her somewhat dour mood that she seems to have in every film kind of works here, works to her favor. But this is not a movie that would win any awards for originality, but it is kind of scary. The biggest downside to it, I would say, is that sometimes things get a little chaotic in the murky underwater action scenes. You kind of can't tell what's happening, so it's very easy to get lost and lose your perspective. And in more than one occasion, I had no idea what happened to some of the characters. But overall, I think Underwater is a pretty, I mean, it's not exceptional, but it's a pretty good horror film if you're just looking for 80-some minutes of jump scares and good tension and interesting special effects work. The CGI in this, and if you've watched my channel or read my reviews on movieassault.com, you know that I'm not a big fan of CGI most of the time, but because of the floaty underwater nature of these creatures, the CGI actually works pretty well, so it does the movie another service. So I'm going to give Underwater a 3.5 out of 5. Next up is Creature from the Black Lagoon. So, Creature from the Black Lagoon, when an archaeological dig, or I guess it's a geological dig, in the Amazon River Basin uncovers a fossilized web-fingered hand, an expedition is launched to discover the body that the hand belongs to, which is supposed to be encased in this limestone bank along the side of the river. And when the expedition comes back to the Amazon camp where this dig site is, they discover the 2 men that are left in charge of the campsite have been murdered. But they attribute that to natural wildlife, like a jaguar. They don't think that there's a creature called the Gill Man who is responsible for this. So after they dig for 8 days or so, they don't discover anything, and they theorize that maybe the rest of the body has washed downstream over the years. Maybe this limestone bank has deteriorated and this rest of this body has gone downstream. The captain of the boat they took to their dig site says that the tributary of the Amazon River that they're on ends in a lagoon, and the lagoon is nicknamed the Black Lagoon because no one ever returns from there. A little bit of foreshadowing. So the expedition, which consists of Dr. David Reed, Dr. Mark Williams, David's girlfriend Kay, and 2 other scientists, Dr. Thompson and Dr. Maya, they head to this Black Lagoon on the Rita, which is a little sort of, it's a, I guess, a steam-powered boat, maybe. Very beaten down, but still quite capable boat. And when they get there, they jump into the water, Dr. Reed and Dr. Williams, and they start looking for limestone samples at the bottom of the lagoon, trying to match up with the bank that they had just left. Well, what they don't know is they're being observed by this creature who is a living example of the fossilized creature that they're looking for. And this creature, of course, observes them but doesn't move to attack them or do anything bad to them. And then the creature, sees Kay, this very lovely, curvy woman played by Julie Adams, who is billed here as Julia Adams. He seems to fall in love with her, or some representation of what a Gillman would call love. And when she takes a swim in the lagoon, he sort of parallels her swimming by swimming in tandem with her just below her, and it's a very iconic scene. So here's where I have to confess that The Creature from the Black Lagoon is actually one of my favorite monster movies of all time. I've seen it multiple times. I try to watch it at least once a year. Usually for the Halloween 15, I watch movies that I haven't seen before, but I thought The Creature from the Black Lagoon deserved to be reviewed for my website, and for those people who, I don't know how many of them exist, who haven't seen this movie, just to give you another nudge to see it. It's a classic monster film. It's heavily based on the Beauty and the Beast sort of mythos, and it's really stood the test of time because the script, which was written by Harry Essex and Arthur Ross, I couldn't remember their names, I don't know that it was intentional, but it does have sort of an environmental skew to it that still stands up today, because the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Gill Man, isn't doing anything wrong. It's not an invading monster that's coming to destroy the cities or kill people. It's living its best life in the Black Lagoon, doing nothing, and man comes in and starts dropping poison in the lagoon, trying to dig him up or try to bring him to the surface. They're digging in his backyard. They prompt a reaction out of him, but yet he's the bad guy. So I think that sort of Beauty and the Beast theme, and the whole theme of here's a creature that isn't doing anything wrong, he's actually probably more humane than the humans in this film, and I think it kind of pulls at people's heartstrings and moves them in a way that they find sympathy for this creature, and sort of in the same way that you find sympathy for King Kong or for Frankenstein's monster in the 1931 movie with Boris Karloff. So I think as a result, it stood the test of time and really still resonates with most people that watch it. At least it does me. So I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. It's light on scares because it is fairly old and fairly tame by today's standards, but it's still a good story. The suit, the Gillman suit, is fantastic, and I have to mention it was designed by Millicent Patrick and brought to life by Ben Westmoreland. I believe that's his name. Let me double check. Bud Westmore, I'm sorry, not Westmoreland. Bud Westmore created it, but it was designed by Millicent Patrick. And if you're interested in some further reading material, here's where I plug a book called The Lady from the Black Lagoon. Take a look online for that. It is the story of Millicent Patrick and how she was sort of covered up by the studio in terms of her involvement in creating the suit, and all of the credit was given to Bud Westmore, when in fact Millicent Patrick is largely responsible, if not entirely responsible, for how the creature looks today, and that classic iconic look. So check that out. So there you go. 5 out of 5 stars, definitely an all-time classic. And by all means, see The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And check out Underwater, too, because it's not that bad. Like I said, 3.5 out of 5 stars. So there you go. Those are my reviews of Underwater and The Creature from the Black Lagoon. As always, stay tuned here to the Movie Assault channel for more movie reviews, Blu-ray hauls, and all other kinds of movie-related stuff. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Please leave a comment below if you've seen either of these films and would like to share what you thought about them. And click the thumbs up and click the little bell if you'd like to be notified when I put another video up. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take it easy.